Have you ever woken up feeling like the whole world is weighing down on your shoulders? The incessant worries closing in. Am I good enough? What will happen if everything falls apart? Why, even though I have so much in life, do I still feel empty? These fears not only rob us of the joy of living but also trap us in a cycle of anxiety and tension. But do you believe that these fears are not actually enemies? That they are just lessons yet to be discovered, opportunities for us to grow and change? In this video, I will take you on the journey of Jacob, a young man once imprisoned by his own fears. But thanks to 6 lessons from Buddhist philosophy, he overcame those obsessions and found peace and meaning in life. Let's explore how these 6 lessons can help you overcome fear, face challenges, and change your life. Don't take your eyes off the screen, because what you are about to hear may be the key to opening a new door in your life. Jacob Miller, 25 years old, is an excellent programmer in Silicon Valley, a place everyone aspires to reach. He has a dream job with a high salary and ample opportunities for advancement. But behind that glamorous exterior, Jacob harbors an unnamed anxiety. Every morning, he feels like an invisible stone is weighing down on his chest. He fears losing his job, worries that he is not good enough, and is frequently haunted by terrible scenarios that could happen. The questions keep repeating in his head. Why do I have everything but still don't feel happy? Is this all there is to life? One evening, while browsing social media, Jacob accidentally came across information about a talk at the Golden Path Meditation Center in Los Angeles. The topic was overcoming fear through Buddhism. Something inside him was awakened. After a moment of hesitation, Jacob decided to attend the talk. In the small but cozy room of the meditation center, Jacob was introduced to Master Lucas Monroe, a 72-year-old monk with white hair and compassionate eyes. Master Lucas used to be a philosophy professor at a prestigious university but left everything to seek enlightenment. His calm demeanor and warm voice quickly soothed Jacob's soul. When the talk ended, Jacob couldn't resist the urge to have a private conversation with the master. He stepped forward and spoke, his voice full of urgency. Master, I live in constant fear and anxiety. Even though I have a good job, I'm always worried about losing everything. Please help me find peace in my soul. Master Lucas listened, then gently smiled. Jacob, I can feel the burden you are carrying. Sit down here. I will share with you 6 lessons that, if you understand and apply them, can change your life. Jacob sat down on a simple wooden chair in the small garden of the meditation center. The surroundings were quiet, with only the sound of the wind gently stirring the green leaves and the soft sunlight streaming through the trees. He looked at Master Lucas, his eyes full of anticipation but still tinged with anxiety. Master, I don't understand why fear always clings to me, even when I know it doesn't help. How can I overcome it? Jacob spoke, his voice sounding like a plea for help. Master Lucas smiled, his eyes radiating calm. Jacob, start by understanding a fundamental truth of life: nothing is permanent. The Buddha called this impermanence. Do you realize that everything you worry about revolves around not wanting things to change? Jacob nodded, feeling as if the master had just spoken to his heart. That's right. I fear losing my job, I fear failure, I fear not being able to control my life. Master Lucas nodded sympathetically and then told a story. Imagine a river flowing through different lands. The water never stops, it always changes, sometimes clear, sometimes muddy, sometimes swift, sometimes still. Life is like that river, always moving and never still. But many people try to freeze the river, to keep it in a state they like, and that is the root of suffering. You see, Jacob, your fear arises when you don't accept that the river must flow. Jacob sat silently, trying to absorb every word of the master. He hesitated and asked, but how can I accept change when it can bring bad things? Master Lucas took a sip of tea from a small clay cup, then gently replied, you need to understand that everything, including fear, is temporary. The worries you have today will not last forever. Even feelings of happiness or safety are not permanent. But that is not a sad thing, it is a liberating truth. If fear is temporary, why let it control your life? Jacob was confused. I understand what you are saying, but it seems too theoretical. How can I truly believe and apply it in my life? Master Lucas put down the teacup, looked directly at Jacob with a stern but loving gaze. Have you ever stood before a great storm, Jacob? Jacob nodded. Yes, Master. When I was a child, a great storm damaged my family's house. Master Lucas smiled gently. And that storm, is it still there? Jacob was startled. He shook his head. No, it has long passed. Exactly, Master Lucas said. All difficulties, all pains, even the scariest things in your life, will eventually pass. You just need to remember, life always changes, and nothing is permanent. Jacob felt like a heavy weight had just been lifted off his shoulders. He nodded, for the first time feeling a small glimmer of light in his heart. But Master, Jacob continued, how can I practice accepting impermanence in my daily life? Master Lucas laughed. Start by observing the changes around you. A falling leaf, a blooming and wilting flower, or the daylight slowly fading into night. These small things remind you that life is a continuous flow. When you face a fear, ask yourself, will this last forever? You will see that the answer is always, no. Jacob felt his heart lightened. He looked at the Master, his eyes full of gratitude. Thank you, Master. I will remember this lesson. I will practice living with change, instead of trying to hold on to everything. Master Lucas placed his hand on Jacob's shoulder. Very good, Jacob. This is just the first lesson. When you understand and apply this, the following lessons will gradually open up the path for you to overcome all fears. Jacob smiled, for the first time in weeks. He felt ready to receive the next lesson. Jacob leaned back in his chair, his eyes filled with curiosity. After hearing the first lesson, he felt a sense of relief in his mind. But there were still unanswered questions. He hesitated. Master, if everything is temporary, why does fear still feel so strong? It clouds my thinking, and often I can't even take a step forward. Why does that happen? Master Lucas smiled, gently placing the teacup down on the small wooden table. Jacob, to answer your question, I will share the second lesson, seeing the illusion of fear. Jacob bowed his head slightly, listening to every word from Master Lucas, preparing to receive the second lesson. Master Lucas looked at him, his eyes calm yet filled with understanding. Jacob, to overcome fear, the first thing you need to do is recognize that many fears are not reality, but merely illusions created by your mind. Jacob, whenever you feel afraid, stop and ask yourself, is this really happening right now? Or is it just a scenario in my head? If it is just imagination, you can break it. Don't let fear hold you back. Instead, see it as a signal that you are stepping out of your comfort zone. That is when you are growing. The Master gave a small exercise. When fear arises, write it down. Record all the things your mind has created. Then, read them again and analyze how many of them are actually likely to happen. You will see that most of them are just imagination. Jacob nodded slightly, his heart full of determination. Master Lucas closed his eyes for a moment, as if preparing to lead Jacob into the next lesson. Jacob sat up straight, focusing intently as Master Lucas continued the lesson. In the gentle light of the afternoon, the Master's voice resonated, warm and slow, as if guiding him into a peaceful space. Jacob, to face and overcome fear, you need to learn how to practice mindfulness, sati. This is the art of bringing your mind back to the present, freeing it from the ghosts of the past and the uncertainty of the future. Think about your fear. It often does not exist in the present, but only in the stories your mind creates. Maybe you fear failure because of what happened in the past, or you worry about the uncertain future. But if you truly live in this moment, right now, does the fear still exist? The Master paused, his kind eyes looking at Jacob, then told a story. I remember when I was young, I used to be afraid of speaking to others. My mind always thought, what if I say something wrong? What if they laugh at me? But when I started practicing mindfulness, I realized that when I was fully present with the person in front of me, listening and focusing on the present moment, all fears disappeared. The mind had no place for hypothetical stories anymore. Jacob, mindfulness is simply being fully present with what is happening, without judgment. One way to practice this is through breathing. Breath is the bridge between the mind and the body. When you pay attention to each inhale and exhale, you will pull your mind back to the present. Mindfulness helps create a space between you and your fear. In that space, you can choose how to react, instead of reacting impulsively. For example, when you think, "What will happen if I fail?" Instead of letting fear sweep you away, say, "This is just a thought. I am not this thought." Jacob sat silently, taking a deep breath, feeling each word of the Master sink into his heart. He felt as if he had just received a precious key. Master Lucas smiled. "Jacob, now try focusing on your breath, just for a few minutes. When you do that, fear will have no place to exist. This is the power of mindfulness." Jacob gently closed his eyes, feeling the deep, slow breath that Master Lucas had just taught in the previous lesson. He felt calmer, but the question still echoed in his mind. Why do we have to endure fear and suffering? When he opened his eyes, it seemed that Master Lucas had already read that thought. "Jacob, now I will share with you the fourth lesson, understanding the nature of suffering, dukkha. This will help you see why fear exists and how to overcome it. In the teachings of the Buddha, suffering is a natural part of life, something that all of us must go through. Dukkha is not only physical or mental pain but also a feeling of dissatisfaction, unease, and deep-seated discontent. Fear, Jacob, is a form of dukkha. It arises when you feel threatened, out of control, or anxious about the unknown. But you need to understand this. Suffering is not unique to you. It is universal. Everyone has experienced fear, whether it's the fear of failure, loss, rejection, or even death. When you realize that suffering is a part of the human experience, you will no longer feel alone in your fear. Long ago, there was a woman named Kisa Gautami who lost her only son. In her grief, she went to the Buddha and begged him for help. The Buddha told her to find a mustard seed from a household that had never known suffering. She went from house to house but could not find anyone who had not experienced loss or sorrow. Finally, she realized that suffering is something everyone must face. And this realization helped her overcome her pain. Jacob sat silently, absorbing every word of Master Lucas. The Master continued, "You see, Jacob, suffering is a part of life. When you understand that fear and suffering are not separate things but a common human experience, you will feel lighter. You will no longer feel isolated in your fear, knowing that everyone has gone through it. And from that, you will gain the strength to face and overcome it." Jacob nodded, for the first time feeling a sense of relief in his soul. He looked at Master Lucas with grateful eyes. "Thank you, Master. I will remember this lesson and try to apply it in my daily life." Jacob sat up straight, attentively listening as Master Lucas continued the lesson. The Master's voice, gentle and warm, guided Jacob to an important concept in Buddhism, letting go of attachment, or tanha. "Jacob, do you know why fear often clings to you? It stems from attachment, the desire to hold on to things you consider necessary for happiness or safety. It could be your job, relationships, or even the image you have of yourself. But the truth is, nothing external can bring you lasting happiness. When you depend on those things, you become more vulnerable and anxious." The Master told a short story. "Once, I attended a meditation session. Someone asked my teacher, 'How can we let go of control?' The teacher picked up a stick and asked the person to hold it tightly. When the person let go, the teacher simply smiled and said, 'You just let go. Jacob, let go of the burdens you are holding on to. Life is unpredictable, but when you accept this and live with a calm spirit, you will see fear dissolve. Don't get caught up in things you cannot control. Let everything unfold naturally, and you will find true peace." Jacob remained silent, feeling a gentle lightness gradually spreading. He understood that letting go is not about giving up but about living free from dependency on unsustainable things. Jacob took a deep breath, the sense of peace from the previous lessons still lingering in his mind. He looked at Master Lucas, his eyes full of curiosity and a thirst for learning. Master Lucas smiled, his voice gentle yet full of strength. Jacob, the final lesson I want you to understand is the power of patience. Tai. This is a virtue you need to cultivate to overcome fear and find peace in your soul. Jacob, fear often stems from impatience. You are afraid because you want immediate answers, you want everything to happen as you wish, and you do not accept uncertainty. But life is an unpredictable flow. When you learn patience, you create space for fear to subside and for your mind to become clear. The master told a short story. Once I planted a small Bodhi tree in my garden. Every day, I watered it and waited, but the tree did not grow as tall as I had hoped. At times, I nearly lost patience, wondering if I had done something wrong. But then, little by little, the tree began to grow stronger. I realized that I could not control its growth rate. I only needed to be patient and do my part. Jacob, fear often makes you feel urgent, wanting everything to be stable immediately, wanting to know what the future holds. But you need to understand that fear, like all other emotions, is temporary. When you have enough patience not to react impulsively or run away, fear will gradually lose its intensity. Patience also helps you endure the discomfort that fear brings. You might feel your heart racing, your mind chaotic, or your body tense. But instead of trying to push it away, patiently sit with it. Let fear be present without resisting it. You will find that, over time, that feeling will naturally dissipate. Jacob remained silent, feeling the teachings seep deep into his mind. He slowly said, "Master, I understand now. I have always tried to control everything, and that only made me more anxious. But now I know that patience is the way to overcome anxiety and trust in the natural flow of life." Master Lucas smiled with satisfaction, his eyes shining with pride. "Jacob, you are ready. Take these 6 lessons with you on your journey. Fear is no longer an enemy, but a teacher helping you grow." Jacob bowed in gratitude, his heart filled with peace. He knew that his life was about to turn a new page, with wisdom, compassion, and a heart no longer bound by fear. Let's together review the 6 important lessons that Jacob learned. First, accept impermanence. Life is a constantly changing flow. When we learn to accept change instead of resisting it, fear will no longer imprison our minds. Second, recognize the illusion of fear. Most fears are products of the mind, not reality. When you realize this, you will know how to prevent fear from controlling you. Third, practice mindfulness. Live in the present. Mindfulness helps you maintain a steady mind and not get swept up in useless worries about the past or future. Fourth, understand the nature of suffering. Suffering and fear are natural parts of life. When you accept them as universal truths, you will find the strength to overcome them. Fifth, let go of attachment. Don't let unsustainable external things control your happiness. Letting go is the way to find true freedom. Sixth, cultivate patience. Allow time to soothe all pain and anxiety. Patience is the key to facing life's challenges. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope these lessons will help you overcome your own fears and find peace in your soul. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to our Wisdom Life channel to not miss out on valuable future videos. See you again on the journey to explore the profound lessons of life.